Hey, it's Kira with another Fringe recap. Sorry it's late on Saturday because I didn't have time yesterday. So this is season 2, episode 5. It's called Dream Logic. And it starts off with Olivia in Boston, and she goes to the bowling alley where Sam works, and then she gives him bowling shoes as a thank you to fixing her or whatever. And so he's like, who died? And then he's like, oh, you guys are pretty close, and her and Charlie and stuff. And he suggests that she get help for everything she's going through because her life is a nightmare, even if she doesn't admit it and stuff. So he tells her that he hopes that she doesn't have something against the color red. Later we find out it's with this whole business card thing, and it's a really sad ending, but I'll tell you at the end. And I have to divide this into parts by victim because it's really long and hard to explain, so I'll have a few parts in this one like the last one. So this guy Greg Leiter in Seattle, he walks into his office, and all these guys are like, ooh, Carl's mad at you or whatever, what'd you do? And he's like, yeah, I know. So he's like, why to the office? And while he passes by all his fellow employees, they have all these weird faces, all morphed and stuff, and really creepy, ghoulish and demon-y or whatever. And so he quickly walks into the conference room, and the lady's like, oh, we've been looking for you, Greg. But he just walks right past her, and then he runs. Well, he doesn't run, but he walks into the office, and then he sees his boss, but instead of seeing his boss's normal face, it's all this big horned, creepy demon dude face, and he's like, whoa, and all this creepy stuff. And so then he sees him, and he just takes his briefcase and smashes his head, and he keeps beating his head until he's dead and bleeding and stuff. And then the other dudes are holding him back against the wall, and his eyes are all spinny and freaky and stuff. So anyway, after that, it goes to Walter and Peter moving into their new apartment thing. Astrid brings housewarming gift, bread, Italian ciabatta bread or something for good luck, and Walter really likes it. But then they get a call about Greg Leiter, who killed his boss and stuff. So they go to Seattle, and they go in this cab, and then Olivia asks the cab driver for a business card, which is really for the business card thing at the end. And so she asks for a business card, and then they go into the hospital, and Walter's all weird, and he's like, oh, Peter, I don't want to go in there, I don't want to go in there. And he's all anxious and stuff. So Olivia just goes in there, and she talks to him, and he says he doesn't remember what happened. He's like, oh, I know this sounds crazy, but everyone in the office, they look like they were demons, and Carl was their leader. He had these big horns. And then he goes into this, well, it's not a seizure, but it looks like he's having a seizure. And he starts violently shaking and stuff, and then they come in, and they're all freaked out, and then his wife comes in, and he's like, Greg, no! And she's freaking out and crying and screaming, and then his hair turns completely white, and he just dies. It's really sad. And then, so, after he dies and stuff, Walter is examining Greg, and then the talk screen comes back, and it says that he died of acute exhaustion. So, and then Walter's like, oh, I need this to be brought back to my lab, and then Peter's like, oh, well, everything that you need in your lab is right here, and he's like, no, it smells wet, it reminds me of St. Clair's, and he's all freaked out. So then I think Peter was kind of annoyed, but he was like, oh, okay. So Walter goes back to his lab with the body and stuff, and then they're interviewing Greg's wife in their house and stuff, and she says that he doesn't had done anything weird lately or been violent or had any hallucinations and stuff. And then Peter's walking around, and he notices on the shelf there are all these books about sleeping disorders, and then she's like, yeah, he used to sleepwalk, and he hadn't done it lately because he had been seeing a specialist, but he used to sleepwalk all the time, and he'd wake up having made a whole meal, and it was really weird. So Peter asked if they that if he kept a sleep journal, and she said yes. So then Walter and Astrid are examining Greg's body, and he sees 9 stitches, like, on the back of his head and stuff that shouldn't be there. He's like, there's no reason for stitches to be there. So then Peter goes to Olivia's hotel room, and then he has Greg's sleep journal, and he says that Greg used to always, like, dream about nightmares. Dream about demons, sorry. And that's probably why he saw all those demons when he was walking around in his office. So then Peter shares this whole thing that, like, he used to have all these nightmares, but then Walter helped him because he, like, told him to, like, repeat something to himself every night before he went to sleep. He's like, please don't dream tonight, please don't dream tonight, or something. And he didn't remember any of his dreams from, like, 8 to 19. So, yep, Olivia's phone rings after that, and they hear about the next victim.